Hey, so today we're going to be hacking an Android phone. So in order to do this, we're gonna first need to create a APK file or a malicious payload that will be on the victim's phone, and then they'll click on it, and then we'll basically have remote access to that phone through using MSF console and interpreter. So in order to do that, first we're gonna need to create the payload and put it inside the APK file. So I have the command right here. We're going to be using MSF Venom. It's basically a payload creator and an encoder. You don't need to worry about what encoding is or anything like that. Basically, it's possibly can be used to further obfuscate malicious code so it won't be picked up by virus programs or antivirus programs as easily. So let's copy and paste this. Put into here. The only parts that we need to fill out are the L host and the L port. The L host is your local IP address because this is what is going to be used to. It's going to connect back to this address. So, in order to find your IP address, let's type in IP address show. This is our local address that the computer currently has. Want to copy and paste it. And now for the L port, it's up to you what port to use. I would use something over 4,000 because ports below that they all run, critical applications, or it could applications could run on that port, and if you use one of those smaller ports, something could go wrong. So for the sake of this argument, let's just use port 4444, so 4,444, and then we're gonna output that to a file called hack.apk. You can name it whatever you want as long as you do .apk. So it's gonna do its thing for a minute. You can already see that it's on the desktop. So basically this just created our APK file for us. Now the next thing to do is to get it on the victim's phone. So this is where social engineering and things like that come into play. Just for the sake of this video, this is more of a proof of concept video. This is more to just see how you can remotely control or remotely get on somebody's phone. It's not necessarily like a real hack. So we're gonna get it on the phone the easiest way that's possible, and that's going to be to set up an Apache server, and then from the phone we're just gonna download the APK file to the phone. But like I said, if you really want someone to click on this thing and download it, you're gonna have to get creative for that. So let's start the Apache server. This will basically start a server on our local IP address, so this 192.168.1.123, and we can verify that by going on the web, and then let's click on it. Okay, so this Apache server is working, it's setting up, or it's already set up. Now basically all we have to do is now transport this APK file to the folder that hosts all of the files on the web server. So it's going to be in var www html. Now I already have this in here because I was trying to do this before I made the video, so everything is already set up. But basically all you have to do is just drag and drop this to that folder, and then from there you can be able to download it directly from the Apache server. So like I said, I already have this set up. Now basically the next thing that we're going to do is we're going to go to my phone. I'm going to record the screen so it should pop up soon. Okay, so we see here I have my Android, homepage desktop. And basically all that you're going to have to do is you're going to have to go to the Apache server on the phone. So it's 192.168.1.123 or whatever your local IP address may be. And then you're going to put slash and then the name of the APK file that you created. So keeping it short makes it simpler. Once you do that, you're going to press go. It's going to download the file, and then from there you're going to install it. I've already installed it on my phone, so I'm not going to do it again because it was causing issues earlier with the recording. And once you download it, it should look like this. It should see something called main activity. Now, once we do that, or once we do that and then have it downloaded, we're going to have to go back to our MSF console. We're going to run MSF console because we're going to need to set up the handler to get back to our machine. So basically what we're going to do is we're going to type in MSF console. Oops. That's going to start Metasploit. It's going to load up real quick. Shouldn't take that long. Okay, now all we need to do is now set up the handler, which is basically going to be the relay for everything we set up in the APK file. So we're going to just set up what kind of payload it is, the local port, the local host, and then it's going to, once the victim clicks on the app that's now on their phone, it's going to come back, and then we're going to have access through Meterpreter onto their phone. So to set up the payload, we're going to use multi-handler. Oops, not Chandler, handler. Okay, and then we're going to set the payload. It's going to be basically the exact same payload that we have that we set up in the command. So it's going to be set payload Android Meterpreter reverse TCP. Once the payload is set, then we're going to need to set up the L host. And then the L host, like we said, was 192.168.1.123. And just substitute this IP address for the one on your local machine. Oops. Set L host. My bad. 192.168.1.123. And then we need to do the same thing with the local port. And remember, we said the local port for this example was 4444. Okay, now the next thing we have to do is just type in exploit. Now, so what this is waiting for is now for us to click on the payload that we created on the phone. So if I click on the main activity on the phone, you now see that Meterpreter session has started. So basically now we have access to the phone. Trying to remember the commands. Let me look up the commands real quick. I forgot for Meterpreter. So basically from here, now that we are in the phone, all we have to do now is once I look up the commands, we can get a good idea of what we can actually do. I was on this one before. Oh, okay. Okay, so of course, why not think it was just help? So if you type in, oops, help, here are all the commands that we basically have at our disposal from this Meterpreter session. These are the core commands. We can make this run in the background. We can quit. We can transfer sessions. File system commands. This is if we're inside of a shell. Networking commands. We can get the IP addresses and everything from this thing. We can drop a shell into here. We can record the webcam. We can record audio. So for the sake of this, let's just try to get sysinfo. Okay, as we can see, it is an Android 7.0 with running this type of architecture, Meterpreter, Dalvik Android. That wasn't that interesting. Let's get something a lot more interesting. How about let's get where this phone is. Now, it gives us the latitude and the longitude for where the phone currently is. Um, let's see how accurate it is. So all I gotta do is just go to any web browser will work. I typed in the latitude. Now let's type in the longitude. Copy. Whoops. Hold on. Okay, so it is showing that this phone is right here in this area. That's a little bit scary because that is exactly where I am. Well, you already knew that because this is my phone that I'm using. But yeah, so we can see that it can successfully geolocate the phone wherever it is. That's cool. We can also take pictures. So let's take one picture. Webcam underscore snap. Was that not a webcam? Whoops. Start that. Okay. As we can see, it took a picture of me right now. That's not the most flattering picture, but we see that it works. There's a lot of different things that we can do with Meterpreter. We can look and see the call logs. We can get all the SMS messages. We can see the contact list. There's a whole lot of things that we can do once we have Meterpreter opened up for the session. Um, and just a warning, yeah, please don't just go out and do this. Try to upload a malicious file to somebody's phone and do all this, because if you don't know what you're doing, you can either A, get caught, or you can mess up that person's phone permanently. If that is your end goal, then you probably should not be doing this. And remember, this only works for devices that are on your local network. So this will not work for a phone that is outside of your network, let's say like across town or across the state or across the country, the world. This is only for land. If you want to make this work over the wide area network, um, when you do the L host, you want to make sure that you're using your public IP address, and you're also going to want to enable port forwarding on your router. And I'm not going to go over how to do that because that requires a little bit of steps, but that's basically all you have to do if you want to make this go over the wide area network. But for the sake of this example, we are just going we just did it over the local area network. So yeah, that's basically all there is to it. Like I said in the beginning, this is the what was a very basic proof of concept just to see how we can get access to an Android phone by creating a you know malicious APK file. There's a lot of things you may have noticed too, like this APK file is only but so large. Let's see how big it is. It's only 8.8 kilobytes. That's not that much. Most apps, like say like Facebook or Snapchat, ever, they're 60 megabytes in like size. Most normal apps are quite large. They're not super large, but most apps are quite large. So um, back to the whole social engineering piece. Someone's gonna look at this and they're gonna be like, "Why is this app only this big? When I click on it, it does nothing." To them, it does nothing, but to us, clearly, we were able to get access to their phone. Um, so basically, yeah, it just depends on how well you are at social engineering to get all these things on there. Yeah, but this is basically it for the video. I hope you enjoyed it, and thanks for watching.